after 1550 you get a kind of revival of Bosch, which has to do with the fact that Peter Bruegel, the elder, is starting for the Four Winds in Antwerp to make drawings which were used as models for prints, so designs for prints. And of course Peter Bruegel the elder took Bosch as his prime example. His first drawings are all Bosch pastiche drawings. So Bruegel as a second Bosch, as Larry Silver puts it, that's entirely true. So you get in the second half of the 16th century an incredible revival of Bosch-like compositions, and Bruegel is at the basis of it, but it continues to late into the 17th century. In many cases we're talking about sometimes 17th century copies or pastiches after Bosch, quite often done on older panels, but not always. And it's interesting to find back traces of someone who is clearly later than Bosch, like Van Hemers. When you look at the face like this woman, she comes back in the work of Van Hemers all the time. I mean, you won't find faces like that in Bosch paintings, and she's very outspoken. And you'll find comparable scenes of old women like that in the Hemersen oeuvre with exactly the same faces. So this is someone who is making a kind of Bosch copy or Bosch pastiche, like the other ones, which was apparently rather popular, and using motifs from other painters as well, or stylistically models he took over. But that makes sense because these were probably known. So when you have to paint a scene like that, you pull a teeth somewhere, that you then have, of course, a model of Van Hemersen by hand as well. So you could use a face like that. But of course they were all done in the late 16th or early 17th century, and not earlier than that. And of course that's confirmed by the dendrochronological examination when it's late 16th century. It should not have been done before well, around 1600, perhaps a bit earlier. Because Bosch had become extremely popular for the market, especially the Spanish and New Spanish market in Mexico. So many of those paintings were shipped to Spain and to Mexico, because they were meant as fakes, really. They were not copies. Well, Peter Bruegel the younger is a true copyist, and he signs with his own name and not with his father's name, and he puts the date on it as well. But these copyists, they are really trying to fake Bosch and to sell those paintings as real Bosch paintings. That's what they in fact do.
But do you think that the original or the initial composition is from 1550s, or is it?
If there was an initial composition. So what you see on other copies are copies of non-existing Bosch paintings, which were in fact not available. They were not even there. They were simply inventions of the copyists. They invented a non-existing Bosch original. In the second half of the 16th century, they start making fakes like maniacs, everyone, because there's a market for it, and the market is in Spain. So I still think that you'll find many fake Bosch paintings on attics and in churches, especially in Spain. But it's a fascinating thing, absolutely, and it's good that it's going to be published. But I mean, I think the important thing is that we're talking about late 16th century, early 17th century paintings mostly. And it's that long that this Bosch fantasy keeps on going.